growing like this, because the discolored parts here, that's where the sheep was lying in the mud, and this pretty white part was where we gave the sheep a haircut, right up close to its skin. But you know we don't hurt the animal, just give them a haircut. Okay. Then the next step after shearing is to wash it, and this has been washed already. Then the next step after that is to get the tangles out of it, and I do that with these paddles with the teeth. These are called cards, and the process is called carding. Now, if you had been born 200 years ago, this would have been one of your jobs in the family when you turned 4 years old. Boys and girls had to help with the carding. And the carding is basically brushing the sheep's hair and getting each one of the hairs going in the same direction to the others. Now, right there, I see a big piece of hay left from the pasture, so I'm going to pick that out now. I don't want that to go into my yarn.
So you make your yarn out of the sheep's?
Out of the sheep's wool. Yarn can be made out of cotton or linen or camel fiber or mohair, which comes from an Angora goat, or Angora bunny fiber, or silk. Now all that I just did, which was about 15 or 20 strokes, is considered one pass. Now I take the wool off this side, put it on this side, and go again. This is the second pass. And with each pass, it's getting softer and silkier feeling.
How many passes do you do?
Usually 3, sometimes 4. Once in a while it takes 5. Have you ever made biscuits from scratch with flour?
I've never made biscuits.
You've helped.
I've helped,
Many
but
times.
I haven't actually made them myself.
But you know, you put
She
in
knows
the
her
flour
way
and
around
the
the kitchen.
shortening. Yeah. Well, you know there's a point where the dough feels just right. There's something else from the pasture I'm going to pick out. You know there's a point where the dough feels just right, and it's time to stop stirring and turn out your biscuits and cut them. There's a point where the wool feels just right, and it's time to take the wool off the cards, and it's ready for spinning. Now to get it off the cards is a little bit tricky. I roll it over itself like a wave at the ocean, and when the wool is in this shape, it's called a rolag. That's spelled R-O-L-A-G. Now, the funny thing about the word rolag, you'll read that word in a book about spinning, but you may not find that word in your dictionary anymore. It's one of the words they're leaving out because it's not something we do every day anymore. All right, now, hold that like hot potato. You see how light and fluffy that is? That's the other thing that the carding does, is to get it light and fluffy and ready to spin. That makes it more easy to spin. Now, wool is hair. We've already talked about that. And if you could see one of the hairs under a microscope, you'd be able to see little barbs on the outside of it, like little fish scales. And the job that those scales do is to reach out and grab hold. So I can pinch this new light gray up against the darker gray that I have already spun, and because of those little scales, it's going to grab on. I just put some lubricant on my shaft, but it's still squeaking, isn't it? I didn't find the right place, apparently. All right, now, because of those little scales, that is joined there. So if you think about these hairs back here, like they're all standing in line holding hands together, this is half of what's happening. The other half is the work of the wheel. Because this is a pulley, for every revolution of the big wheel one time, the drive band is turning the little wheel several times, and that's what's putting the twist in. The twist is building up in here like a rubber band. These hairs are waiting in line, and when I let go, the energy that's been stored back here has to fly out and trap the hairs that are waiting. You see between my thumbs? I'm not spinning it. The wheel is doing all the work of the twisting. The only thing I'm doing is deciding what size yarn to make by how many hairs I'm letting go in. I'm keeping most of them pulled back out of the way. Okay?
How much yarn do you think this will make?
Well, I think it's going to make more than 2 feet, and I think it's going to make less than 20 feet. How much do you think it's going to make? Pick a number between 2 and 20. An estimate.
5.
5? Okay. You'll see how much it makes
How do you measure it?
with a yardstick. When I finish spinning it, we'll take it off and measure it. Now, if I were spinning this into a fatter piece of yarn, it would turn out to be shorter, and if I were spinning this into a finer piece of yarn, the length would go even further. So 200 years ago, boys and girls helped with the carding to keep up enough cotton or wool for their mother or their older sister to do the spinning. Girls learned to spin at age 6, and that would have become your job for the family. Every day you would have to spin to keep up enough yarn for all the cloth that had to be woven for your clothing and had to be woven for your sheets and blankets, and all the yarn that was needed for everybody's sweaters and hats and mittens and scarves and socks. You would have learned to weave around age 10 or 11 because 200 years ago most young ladies were preparing to be married at the age of 14 or so, and you had to know how to do all these things as well as make butter and cheese and lye soap and everything else that goes along with farm life.
Are we going to let this carry in all the yarn?
No, I'm going to stop here and then I'm going to roll it off and measure it. So you can see that yours is a different color. So we'll know where yours started and where mine stopped. Okay? Can you hand me the yardstick over there, please? Thank you very much. All right. So how many feet in a yard?
3.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's already past 5. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 feet and a half. Almost 18 feet. 17 and a half feet made out of that little dab of wool that I started with. Now let me show you this. This is really cool. You see the kinks in here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What this is telling me is that there's still energy stored in here. Okay? This is like when you're riding in the car and the driver goes around a corner too fast and everybody in the car goes, "Brrr." You don't have to stop and think about, oh right, I remember now. I'm supposed to use these stomach muscles and sit myself back up again. When that happens in the car, you just do it. Well, the yarn has all been spun in one direction and it wants to sit up and it will do it all by itself. When I let go, it's going to spin itself in the opposite direction to release that stored up energy, and it's going to turn the 6 strands into a thicker, stronger piece of yarn. This is the physics behind making rope also, okay? But it's the only time it'll do it. Okay, now it's neutral as far as the energy is concerned. It can't spin itself up anymore. It can't unspin itself. If you remember that the wool was not strong, but the wool just pulls right out, okay? I want you to hook out your finger and try to pull against me. You agree that that's strong?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Part of the strength comes from the twist, but more of the strength comes from how many strands there are. So this is a 6 ply, which is stronger than a 2 ply, but not as strong as a 10 ply would be. Okay? So you may take that with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Then I also have a book list for you and a word search puzzle.
Thank you.
These are words about weaving that you're going to look for that are listed here. If you don't know what the word means for weaving, you need to find out what it means for weaving, because I know there's at least one on here that has another meaning to it. And these are some books that you might be able to find at your library.
Thank you.
You're most welcome.